Hey all, thanks for all of the interaction in the comments section on my previous video about the Topspin drip. One of the most useful suggestions you all made was for me to do a video about dipping topspin thirds that land close to or actually in the non-volley zone. I happen to be working with my client Craig on hitting his fourth shot in response to these kind of thirds, so I'm going to go through several points that we played out, and I'm going to talk about what I did with each shot. As I was going through this footage, I realized that there's definitely a gray area with these shots. They all have heavy topspin, but some lean more towards a drive trajectory, so lower over the net and landing farther behind the NVZ line, while others have more of an up and down kind of trajectory and actually land in or nearer to the NVZ. You'll notice that Craig and I are playing out cross-court points, rather than me feeding him topspin thirds and having him hit fourths off of those. I much prefer to work on thirds and fourths this way because it's much truer to actual game conditions. Hitting a third when you've actually served and are then dealing with the pace, the spin, and the location of that serve return is what actually happens in a game. For Craig, all of that accumulated spin off of my third makes for a much harder ball to deal with than if I were just hitting a third from a stationary position or off of a feed from the NVZ. And he's having to come in off of his serve return, time his split step, and then try to hit a volley. If you don't typically drill this way, I would definitely give it a try. Alright, so let's jump into the tape now. Alright, so here we go with the first point. You'll notice on the first several points that I'm showing, I don't serve particularly deep, and this is actually on purpose. I'm trying to warm up my serve a little bit, but it's also, I want to give Craig more of an opportunity to go ahead and hit a pretty deep return. You'll notice that Craig hits mostly slice returns. He's got a pretty nasty slice return that tends to stay fairly low over the net, and even if he lofts it a little bit, it does still have a lot of spin on it. So here we go with the first point. So here goes Craig's return. This one, lands very deep and he pushes me off into a corner. So I drop right into the middle. Let's watch that one more time. So a lot of my location on these thirds depends on where that serve return has put me. You'll notice when we watch this one again that I'm really running around my backhand on purpose on this. Probably in real life, this would have been a better choice to hit a two-handed backhand drip, drop, whatever you want to call it, off of this. I'm really running around the backhand to the point where I could be way out of position if Craig happened not to have missed this ball. So let's watch this one more time. So again, he will have pushed me way off the court with his serve return. So I'm hitting this topspin drop from probably at least 4 or 5 feet behind the baseline. You'll also notice he's pushed me at an angle where I didn't exactly get my feet under me before I hit this shot. So footwork is I think I was still kind of moving when I hit this ball, so I got a little bit lucky on this. But usually if you're pushed way off the court, especially way out wide, then the middle drop is probably a pretty smart way to go. Let's watch this one more time. Shallow serve, very deep return. And yeah, I went right to the middle on that one. And you can see that one lands solidly in the kitchen. So a lot of this is about timing. He ended up having to kind of short hop that ball just because he wasn't super fast about getting up to the net. So that's where this shot can be really useful. Yeah, like I said in the intro, this is there's a middle ground. There's kind of a gray area between what's a drive and what's a drop. This one's definitely more of a drop. I lofted it up, and that's something else to consider is the farther back you get pushed off the baseline, for me anyway, I can't line drive it particularly well from back there. I think my odds of getting it over the net go way down. So the farther back I'm pushed, the more loft I'm going to put on the ball. I'm still going to go for a lot of topspin, but I'm going to put a lot more loft on the ball. Let's go ahead and go to the next point. Okay, so another fairly shallow serve. He moves in on this one pretty nice. Okay, so this one, if you watch where that one lands, I've gone more cross court on that one than I did on the first one. The first one was kind of right on the tee. And this one, let's watch that one more time. Here's the return. So there you also notice I actually had my feet under me that time. So if I can get my feet under me, and when I hit this shot, I'm staying down, and I'm able to get way more of an angle. I'm still off the court, right? So if I'm going to hit this in a real situation, I'm going to hope that my partner is doing a pretty good job covering the rest of the court, because especially as a lefty on the right side of the court, I'm going very inside out on this. Here we go again. Yeah. So you notice on that one, my swing path and my swing motion are a lot like a ground stroke, right? It's maybe a more extreme below to above the ball thing, but I'm taking a full follow through. I'm taking a pretty quick swing, and I'm trying to impart more topspin on the ball from velocity, right? So this is definitely kind of a hybrid shot. Like, this is not exactly a topspin drop. It's a drip, I don't know. Something in the middle. We'll watch it one more time. Here we go. Serve return. Yeah, so that's definitely like that sort of in between. I'll teach my clients this a lot, where maybe a traditional drop has more of an arc to it than that does. This is a little flatter ball, but it's an in between, right? It's not as flat a trajectory as a drive, and it's a little lower than a traditional drop trajectory would be. Let's go to the next point. And here we go. Okay, let me go back to the beginning of this one. So this one, I've forgotten that we actually played out the whole point. I left the whole point on the tape here because this is actually just kind of a good point. But if you watch on this one, as they'll see if I'm on the right point here, Craig really ambles pretty slowly in on his return. I think he could have easily gotten all the way up to the line on this. Yeah, he's hardly moving, and then he gets a good split step, but he could have been up a little farther. Again, if we watch this back a little, you'll notice I'm not trying to get anywhere like near all the way in on this first shot, right? Let's see where I get to on this third right here. So yeah, I barely actually got inside. I barely got inside the baseline at all on that, which is okay, because again, you can see I'm like on the warning track, right? I'm 5 feet back from the line. So I'm just trying to get a couple feet in. I'm at the line now here. He hit a little short ball, so it's a little easier for me to hit another drop. Split step really early on there. I'm just going cross on all of these to try to get this rally going. So very cross. I know this isn't about drops, but different spot. Bye-bye. Soft flick. Sorry, Craig. Like I said, I just left this in because it was a decent point. Here we go. So now I'm going to be dropping from the odd side, which as a lefty, I don't actually do very often, but that's okay. I like to work on it anyway. Okay, so this one, if you watch where this one landed, this is more landing in drip territory, right? So this one landed beyond the line a little bit, and I kind of, I put Craig in a pretty awkward position, although he did really well with it. Let's watch this one more time. So here's the serve. Better deep. That's a fairly deep serve, at least this time. Yeah, and that one got him outside the line, because this one definitely had... If you watch the trajectory on this one, so serve, return, watch the trajectory here. This is a lower trajectory for sure over the net. So it just gets in a little quicker, right? The bit downside to hitting that lower trajectory, of course, is again, it just gives you less time, right? Let's watch the next one. Okay, so that's a very wide serve right on the line. It gives me more court to work with. This one... That's a drop that's a more, I would say, is a more traditional topspin drop. If you watch my technique on this, I'm just brushing up the back of the ball. This is not a ground stroke kind of technique at all. right? So watch this one more time. See that? That is just it's a little brush up the back of the ball, right? And why did I do that, right? That had to do actually with where the serve return landed. So the serve pushed him out pretty wide, so watch where the return goes. Okay, he goes middle pretty much on the return, and he goes shallow, right? So I'm running up to that ball. I'm just going to drop it cross, and I'm going to try to play out the point, right? So there gets to be an area where the closer you get to the net on these, the more likely you should be just to brush up the back of the ball a little bit and hit more of a drop. Get it into the kitchen, right? Because on a short serve return, if I try to rip this ball a little bit too much, it hangs up, right? So again, watch the serve. Very wide serve. And then I'm just going cross just to get this in front of him. I'm just trying to put it down in the court. Here goes the next point. Okay, so Craig has this ability, right? That was a pretty good serve, pretty deep, and he short hopped it. So let's watch that one more time. He's not back very far, but he can short hop this ball. And he timed that really well. Okay, so this is kind of a cautionary tale, right? So he short hops this ball. I actually ripped this one more like a drive. I got lucky because he kind of mistimed his fourth on this. But if you watch where this ball goes, this is kind of one of the issues with going a little too hard on your drive, is if you do like this and you hit a not great drive that hangs up, you might be hitting right into somebody's forehand, which is exactly what I was doing. If Craig lets this drive go past him, this may stay in, but this is definitely like the height over the net and stuff. This is more like a singles drive. And let's watch this drive one more time. Okay, so this is sort of like, I should have dipped this ball more than this. Okay. Yeah, so I just got lucky on that. That probably would have landed in the court, but it would have landed in the back third, which is not really where I'm aiming. Next point. This gets a nice low slice over the net. You see how low he's clearing the net on this one. That's, again, just a brush up the back of the ball, top spin, drop. Straight up drop. There's no real... I'm not trying to put a lot of pace behind this. I'm just trying to put top spin on it. Let's watch that one more time. Serve. Very linear return. And I'm just dropping that ball. I stayed put because I actually wasn't even sure it was going to bounce or if he was going to take it out of the air. So you notice that's actually a really good point too. Watch Craig, he split steps. I think as I'm hitting the ball here. Yep, good split step timing. And then he moves up another 2 feet because he sees that I actually dropped the ball in front of him. So maybe I could have dripped this a little bit more. I kind of went with the safer bet. So watch this. This is good footwork by Craig. Split step. And then he keeps moving up to it because he sees that I'm dropping. All right, next point. Okay, so I get this one to his backhand, another kind of shallowish return. That is definitely more on the drive side of a drive versus drip on this one, okay? Why did I do that? I got a bit of a shallower ball, and it was right up the middle. So for me, yeah, there was, if in the Magic world where his partner is hugging very hard middle, they might have gotten that ball instead. We'll never know, but let's watch this shot. So yeah, if I get a middle return like that, chances are it's much easier for me just to go right back up the middle again. And I had enough time to get down here, step into this, and step through it a little bit. So that's more definitely on the drive side of things. I believe there's one more point. I'm going to slice this out wide. Okay, so now watch where this return is. So this return's gone kind of middle of the box, right? But here, I think this one I'm going to go corner pocket. Yep. Yeah. And what ended up happening on that very last one, it's another good spot that you can go, right? This corner pocket shot. And so much of this is contingent on where you put your serve and where that return goes. Because I'm serving from my perspective towards a little bit towards the right of the box, I'm a little bit better to set up to be able to hit a cross-court third. So I'm already thinking I'm going cross-court, obviously. The side spin serve will push out. We'll push Craig off the right side of the even side of the court. So it's more likely to line me up for more of a cross-court third, right? So the idea is the serve, I'm going to try to push Craig out wide. If I get a return I can work with, because I've pushed him out wide and he's got more distance to cover, makes sense for me to drop to the outer third of the box. So here we go with that. Actually didn't really push him out too wide. He was already hanging out there, as it turns out. Yeah, and you notice too his path, right? This is one of the common things, and I get burned on this sometimes too. We've talked a lot about this in coaching sessions I've done recently. Usually people are taught, right, that you're taught to follow your ball in, meaning whatever trajectory you send it on, you're going to move towards that same spot. So because Craig went back cross, right, if you look at where he's moving, he's not going to move in a straight line up to the net. He's going to move up towards the middle, right? Which is what he's doing. So now if I can go back on the angle, good split step again, it's just making him move a little bit. And when he's got to try to hit a shot from out there, he's got to not hit as offensive a shot, right? I can get him moving off the line. It would have taken me 5 or maybe 7 shots to get in on that anyway. If I remember correctly, I think I dumped this 2E in the net. Anyway, so that's just kind of a survey of what's going on with a bunch of different kinds, different spots of topspin drops. Some of these are more drippish, some of them are more straight up a drop. So for me, one of the big differentiators is what technique I'm using. So if I'm hitting it more like a full-on ground stroke, and I'm aiming a little bit lower over the net, then maybe that's more of a drip. That is also where I am on the court. If I'm well behind the baseline, which I really like that spot actually, I don't mind being 4 or 5 feet behind the baseline because then I can take more of like a full-on ground stroke kind of swing. If I'm inside the baseline, if I'm inside the court somewhere, then I'm more likely to take a bit more of an abbreviated swing and hit what would be more like a drop. A traditional drop, just with more topspin. So for me, that's the big difference. It's kind of a technique difference more than anything else between the two shots. So hope you enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments anything else I can talk to you about, and I'll see you on the next one.